I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus.
So session 3 of Genuine Worship. And today we're still looking at the priests of Malachi's time, remembering of course that we are now God's priests to the world. Chapter 2 begins with a direct warning to them. And now you priests, this warning is for you, if you do not listen and you do not resolve to honour my name. He then explains that they would lose his blessing. And a bit further on he says, I have sent you this warning so that my covenant with Levi can continue. Now this is important to note. God wasn't going to punish the priests because they had been careless with their duties. He was doing so that his covenant with Levi could survive and continue. You see, when God warns us that we are doing wrong, it isn't so that we can avoid punishment, it's so that his name, his covenant, is upheld. To explain about the covenant with Levi, when the system of worship was set up, this is after the covenant at Mount Sinai, the tribe of Levi, who was one of Jacob's sons, was set aside as priests to attend to the tabernacle and then of course later the temple. They would be the ones to set up the tabernacle, take it down, keep it clean, do everything that needed to be done. They were not given an allotment of land like all the other tribes were when they entered the promised land because they had the temple duties. And the offerings and tithes of the people were to supply the Levites so that they could take their time to tend to the temple or the tabernacle. God made a covenant with them which brought them life and peace, but in return required that they revere God. In verses 5 and 6 it says that Levi did exactly this. He revered me and stood in awe of my name. True instruction was in his mouth and nothing false was found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and righteousness and turned many from their sin. But now the priests were very different, and God wanted to restore the covenant that he'd originally made. The people of God were a holy nation, set aside for God. But because there was sin among them, because they were human beings, the priests were called to be the role models, how to live the godly life. And they had the responsibility to correct the people and instruct them. Chapter 2 of 7, and verse 7, the lips of the priest ought to preserve knowledge, because he is the messenger of the Lord Almighty, and people seek instruction from his mouth. But you have turned from the way, and by your teaching have caused many to stumble. You have violated the covenant with Levi. So when they became careless and ungodly in their role, God's covenant with the whole nation was put in jeopardy. Another issue that Malachi brought up was their partiality towards those of wealth and prestige. And these people were being allowed to get away with all sorts of things under the law because the priests wanted their support, especially their gifts. This was anathema to God, whose heart is justice. Verse 9, so I have caused you to be despised and humiliated before all the people, because you have not followed my ways, but have shown partiality in matters of the law. As representatives of God to the people of this world, we're called to model godly behaviour, to stick firmly to the truth of the word, and to see that justice prevails.
Who can know the mind of our Creator? Who can speak of wonders yet unseen? Who can read the heart of understanding, to play the notes of wisdom's melody? Who has weighed the dust of every mountain? Who stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. So glorious and true. I stand in awe. I stand in awe. You have seen the end from the beginning. You have been before the world began. You have reached to me within the darkness, and in the light of mercy now I see. I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. So glorious and true. I stand in awe. I stand in awe. Who can know the mind of our Creator? I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made it, when it's all about you.